This is LME 506, Module 2, Library Standards and the Bibliographic Universe. In Module 1, we talked a little bit about the standards used to create catalog records, and I hope that I communicated the importance of standards in helping to develop catalog records that are standardized and consistent. And now they're standardized and consistent across the electronic cataloging universe in most countries of the world. Libraries and library catalogs look the same because they adhere to an international set of standards, and these standards have changed over time to accommodate changes in cataloging technologies, and they have currently become more international to accommodate multiple languages and help catalogs become integrated across the globe. So, for example, here is a catalog in Barcelona, Spain, and this is actually Catalan, a language that the catalog is in, but you can see that when we search for the title Alice in Wonderland, that the display is very familiar to us. So this means that pretty much we can go to any catalog that's in pretty much any country and expect to see a very similar catalog record. So we've talked a little bit in the previous module about cataloging standards. For us, the important institutions that set standards are the Library of Congress. The Library of Congress sets standards for the United States and most of the Anglo-speaking world. And this is because very early on they provided a shared catalog card service. Libraries did not have to create their own catalog cards for records. They could purchase them from the Library of Congress. The Library of Congress created Library of Congress subject headings. And also they developed the Library of Congress classification system and developed the MARC record machine-readable code for electronic catalog records. The American Library Association is also very involved in setting standards. They serve as a coordinating institution for establishing international standards and are a resource for many of the publications related to cataloging standards. Also, a very important institution in standard setting is the International Federation of Library Associations. And IFLA governs current international standards. And these standards are FRBR, which is the Functional Requirements for Bibliographic Records, and for RDA, Resource Description and Access. RDA really governs descriptive cataloging, and FRBR really governs how the record is to be treated and displayed. And FRBR really recognizes the fact that the way catalog records are placed in a database now are more in bits and pieces because it's a relational database, very much like an Amazon search, where you're looking up a book and you find similar titles, you find related titles, you find all kinds of different information, and this is the function of a relational database. So this is a very important change for cataloging. Now, you're wondering how all these standards are relating to a school media center. Well, school media centers adhere to professional standards, although these standards are modified because the collections in school media centers are small and the audience is specialized. But media centers are governed by RDA standards for cataloging, the Dewey Decimal Classification. They're governed by Sears subject headings, and they use the MARC record to create records. Media specialists must be aware of cataloging standards, but they're not often required to use them. And that is because most records are ordered with the books and media titles from a vendor or what's called a jobber. So for the school library media center, standards that are used include Sears, for subject analysis and classification section of this class, and the Library of Congress authorities for personal name headings and uniform titles. The Dewey Decimal Classification for call number building, RDA and Ferber for descriptive cataloging, and mark record throughout the class. And I'm going to show you and orient you right now to where you can access these standards and resources, and I encourage you to look into it and to post questions if you have questions about how to access these materials. We're going to go to the internet now, and we're going to look to see where to find the Sears list, the Library of Congress authorities, resources for Dewey Decimal, and RDA. The Sears list first. Here we are at the WKU libraries, and we will go to Search Databases. We will enter in our username and password, and this will change to your net ID in the summer. And then we will go to W for Wilson Webb. And we will select the Sears list of subjects. And although we are in the search area now, I encourage everybody to work with the browse. And then when you're looking for a search term in Sears, you enter in the term, and the browse function allows a long list of terms, so you can see if your term is in there. So for autos, it doesn't have a term for that. So we can enter in another term. Cars, automobiles, it does have a term. And so when you find the term you want, you select it. And then what you see is the subject heading, automobiles. That's interesting. And the associated Dewey Decimals, and you have to decide which one you're going to use. But that's how we're going to do subject analysis, and that's how we use Sears. Now, the Library of Congress authorities is at authorities.loc.gov. We're going to use the Library of authorities primarily to search for names, and we need to know what the formal names are for items. So, for example, oops, I forgot. We got to do last name first. So, for example, we have an authorized heading for Barack Obama. This is his father, and this is the president. So that's how we look up names in the authority heading. Now, for resources for the Dewey Decimal, you'll see that we are in external links, and most of the resources we need for class will be in external links. And you see here the Dewey Decimal Summary Table. And this is the resource we use for finding general Dewey numbers. And then for information about RDA, there's two resources. The primary resource we will use is the RDA cheat sheet that I have developed for the class, because it's condensed the RDA rules into one simple sheet. And then also, if you're interested in more information about RDA, there's a link to the RDA draft where you can download it as a zip file. It has the various chapters, and it's quite an extensive, hundreds and hundreds of pages, primarily dealing with multiple languages, so that's why I decided to condense it into a cheat sheet. And so those are the resources that we are going to be using for class. And if you have any more questions about any of the resources and how to access them, please post them online.